Hey guys, welcome back to the Pistonhead podcast. And believe it or not, on this episode, I actually have a guest. We've got Moneygang Steve on this episode. We're going to talk about drifting, grassroots, what it's like coming up in the motorsport, all the trials and tribulations, or however you pronounce that word properly, everything that you're going to go through from going from a grassroots drifter all the way up to drifting into Formula Drift Canada, and even beyond that. Talk shop, talk parts. He convinces me to buy a BMW. It's an awesome episode. Make sure to stay tuned. And a little sneak peek on Steve working with Vice Canada. So, how did the season go for you?
It was all right. I mean, it was disappointing in some ways. It was great in others. So, I mean...
You know, you had a couple mechanical breakdowns. Like that one drive shaft that was like spun, like actually twisted and beat the shit.
Probably I spent the most money and, you know, like getting good products to make the car reliable, and it was like the most unreliable for some reason. But yeah, car made like probably another 100 horsepower over the year before, so about like 500 wheel. And I broke a transmission. Not in competition, luckily.
That was at Top Drift, right?
Yeah,
I remember that. I came and kind of said hi, and you just like had that look like, thank you, but go away.
Yeah.
But that's the look anybody has when you have like a major breakdown.
Well, yeah, and I wanted to fix it, get it back on the track.
Which you did.
Yeah. So that was like my first on track, or well, off track, but at the track training change.
Because didn't someone like pick it up in King City or something for you?
No. That was another event where I broke a half shaft.
That was it.
And they picked it up for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, so in competition I had both CVs fail at Sunset. One, the like actual CV joint, like where the splines are, where like the axle is like 100% solid.
Yeah,
like
the strongest
thick.
Yeah.
Just sheared. And then the other side had just broken in half, like right in the middle. I don't even know how, but so that happened like in competition in top 16, and then the next round, which is probably like the worst part of it, is like 2 rounds in a row just like kicks you right in the pants, you know. That's when like the drive shaft failed and just like twists in half.
Yeah, because it like literally spun.
Same thing. It was like not a U joint, not like the hanger bearing in this factory, not the factory rubber Gibo like coupler, like straight up a full factory drive shaft and just twist in the center of the metal.
It literally looked like someone took a pop can and like, you know, when you crush it and spin it. That's exactly what it looked like.
Yeah, so
it was almost comical.
But I don't know. I mean, I guess lessons learned. A lot of like, I think basically all of it is just fatigue. You know, like if the tranny was like, you know, better part of a season old when it failed. The drive shaft was about a season and a couple events. The half shafts were at least a season. So it was just kind of everything that was in there for a while started failing, so I just started like taking stuff out.
So okay, next year. Okay, we're good for next year.
Yeah, but and then I ended up upgrading the rear end, like the trailing arms and the half shafts to 330 stuff, which is like quite a bit bigger.
Yeah. So
bigger CVs, bigger like the center shaft itself is a lot bigger too. So. And then I cycle diffs now, so.
Oh, okay. So what, you just like run an event or run 2 events and then?
Before I always just ran 1 ratio, and so now I'm running. I have 3 ratios I run.
Depending on.
So I just kind of like keeps changing up, and it kind of works out that like it'll stay in one event, and then it'll come out, and then I'll put a different one in the next event, and then that one might go back in the next event or whatever. But at least throughout the season, each one might see 2 or 3 events. So
if you've got something with like, you know, when you're in Barrie at Sunset, like where you've got a long bank that you need to keep continuous power for a long period, you're going to change to a different ratio.
I forget what I ran there. I think that was before I started changing them, because I was still running the smaller rear end. But last year, and I guess the beginning of this year, I ran 307s always, because it was like the only diff I had. And it just worked, so I didn't really want to screw with it, because I was still learning it, like learning the car and, you know, just learning to drive the tracks and stuff. So my mentality is always just like leave the car and just figure out how to drive it, rather than like, you know, get in your head be like, oh, it's a car, and then you keep changing stuff and get no practice. So this year I ran the 307 up until that point. And then the next event, I put in a 346 when I did the diff upgrade. Well, same size diff, but different size output flanges, and then the bigger axles, and then
okay, so just something a little sturdier.
Yeah, and the diff seemed to be good, so which is surprising, but like same diff that comes in a 323 or 320.
Oh, really?
And like 500 wheel, like no problem. No issues. Like haven't broken one yet. But so then,
knock on wood for you.
So then I put in the 346 because that's what the 330 rear end had, and I put that in, and then I ended up going to that event, which was Three Rivers, and drove the track, and it was just like horrible, like so short on gear. Like I needed to be in fourth, but like fourth is just so long, like it's hard to get in fourth on a small course like that. So it's just like, okay, well, I'm screwed. So I had a spare diff with me, and so I had to change like output flanges and stuff, and I ended up going to a 293 or 297.
Wow. That's a fair jump.
Yeah, but it actually like worked out good. Like it was a lot better. Just like basically, you know, first, second, third down the like the straight, and then initiating third and keeping in third. It was like super solid, which is how I'm used to driving, because that's how the 307 was too. It's basically you're always in third, and like sometimes you go down to second for really tight stuff. But,
tight transition or something.
Just like it's hard because you're always compromising, right? Like that's everyone's doing it, but if you have some more power or whatever, or maybe better gearing, then you know you can always drive sort of in your power band or whatever. Whereas when you're just driving in third gear, it's like, okay, I need to clutch kick, get the wheel speed up, and then if the wheel speed falls down, you fall out of boost. Then you're screwed, right? Like you're. So it makes the driving a little different, which is like it's fun, it's challenging, just makes it hard with like a lot of grip. I mean.
Yeah, because you're running a fair bit of grip on that car.
Yeah, usually 265s in competition on 18s, and run like 20 to 30 psi depending.
Jeez. Yeah, that's a lot of grip.
And then like on fun days, I'll run like used 245s, but I'll run them at like 10 pounds. Because it's just like so slow otherwise. Because like the tires are already kind of like, it's not a great tire because it's used, it's old, and it's just an all season, and then on top of that it's not as wide, so I just like found the limit as like as much tire pressure I can drop before debeating.
Before it just comes up.
Seems to be around 10, which is pretty good. But
are you running any camber with that?
No, no.
You're just straight 0 to.
Yeah. The rear is basically 0, and it does like it squats a lot, so it does gain a touch.
It does squat a lot.
I could afford to go like probably half a degree positive and then have it squat to 0.
That'll be like the new style with all the science kids.
Yeah,
it's like positive camber.
But you only really see it on a tire after, like, if I run a tire from brand new to completely flat, then you'll see like the touch of camber. Yeah. But it's so little. Like if I run competition, I'll run new tires and I'll only put like say 4 laps on them before like not gonna run them anymore at competition.
Half burns.
And yeah, exactly. I'll like save them later for half burns or to do CSCS or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, then you don't really see the tire wear, so it doesn't really matter. And then I'm gonna take them off anyway, so then I just put them on the opposite way, and then so it doesn't. It's not like something I really notice. And like cars, because like I'm used to setting up the car the way it is. I just kind of stuck with what I had and didn't really want to play with too much stuff because it is like a good setup. Like it works.
Yeah.
When the car's on, it's on. It's just, you know, you got to stay like in boost, in power, and like you know, trying to catch up like 1,000 horsepower guys. It's like
that's such a huge trend right now, and there's a lot of people talking about that, like guys overpowering their cars in the lower levels. Like you're looking at guys in like Riley's a great example. Like don't get Riley, awesome guy, crazy build. He's running 1,000 horsepower, and he's just in Pro 2.
Yeah. I guess that's what they're going for this year, or
he got his Pro 2 license, I believe.
Yeah.
And they're doing the FRS build.
Yeah.
I believe.
Well, I know last year the Subaru made like, I think they were running low or high 7s or low 8s.
Yeah.
Or I think that's what it dynoed at least. I don't know exactly what they were running.
Well,
but the thing was like, it was a monster. But
the
problem is if you drive like Formula Drift Canada, if you drive like I don't know as much about the US Pro-Am series, but they seem to be very like similar.
Yeah.
There's a ton of guys. Like the average is 800 to like, you know, most guys running 700-800, and then a couple of guys running 1,000 or a little bit more, and like, you know, you're literally with a 500 horsepower car, you're the slow car, which is insane. But
well, it depends on the track too. Like in my mind, unfortunately, drifting competition wise, because it's a spectator sport, is going more towards a drag race that's slightly sideways.
Yeah,
like it's kind of going that way. So if you don't build, 700 horsepower plus, you get left behind. Whereas when you get back to old school drifting, like Japanese Essential, where it's a lot more about style and transitions, those guys are running like 300, 400 max.
Yeah.
Especially just because they don't have the part. Well, they have the parts ability. They don't have the shop and fabrication ability in that area, so they can't.
Well, I think it's. I mean, it also depends. Like for me, my car feels like a rocket ship, like fastest car I've ever owned, and like things so fast. Like it's anybody who comes in the car, they're just like, holy crap, this is stupid. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a monster.
So, and I still feel that way about it. Like it's super fast, but then you drive against other guys that have a lot more power, and now you want it, right? So it's easy to. When everyone else is doing it, it's kind of, it's easy to want it because you're like, well, like I want the same, like, I want to be just as competitive, whatever. But the other part of it is that running on oval tracks, the power really shows. Like, because like when you're on like a big bank, they want you to run like the wide line, running the wall or whatever at the top of the bank. Mm-hmm. But staying up there, just you need so much power to do it without touching the brake. And even like when you touch the brake, you're only slowing down. Like whether it's you're barely touching the brake, you're only slowing down a little bit, or you like really have to fix your line and you're getting up to the wall, then it slows you down more. But you need that power to be able to like compensate. You know what I mean? Or like flick into the bank, maybe sort of mellow, and then like stand on it to climb the bank. Whereas like with low power, if you flick in mellow, you're at the bottom. Like it's just like you flick in, you're like, oh, I'm stuck down here, and you left foot brake a little bit, and you get like a midline or something, but you'll never run like a nice wide line in a low power car without like committing to the wall right away, and then
and then hoping that you can stay there and not crash.
And like I did that last year, and I fucking smashed the wall. Like,
I saw that you clipped hard. So, it wasn't even a clip. It was a pretty full contact.
So, but then if you drive like a flat track, like I did the last round of CSCS, which you drove as well.
Yeah.
And then 500 wheel is like crazy. Like it's like super fast. You're just like, oh, this track's flat. So when I huck it in, I just huck it in, and there's nothing like keeping me from going to the wide line. There's nothing, really limiting the car. So it's a rocket ship. Like
Well, and even showed too, like Riley, who has the horsepower advantage. Like you guys, I think they just did the one more time just to keep the crowd happy. Like now that being said, it was dead even, but it shows that like when you have that kind of, you might have the power handicap, but it doesn't matter when you get to that track.
Yeah,
like it didn't. You guys were neck and neck the whole time. The only time you get away from you is just coming out of that corner to the wall, and it was so small. Yeah. Like unless you knew what you were looking for, like unless you knew drifting to notice, like because he had to come on the power so much later because he just overshoot it and slam the wall. Whereas you were like you almost set your throttle into the first corner, come off a little bit in transition, and then just it almost seemed like quarter to half throttle through that last corner, and then you're just kind of like, put on a show, whoa, and then out.
Well, yeah, I mean, kind of, I don't remember it that well, I guess.
I don't know.
But no, I mean, it definitely equalizes it a bit compared to driving like bank tracks or oval. Well, yeah, banked oval tracks.
Yeah.
Where then it's really like you can't catch up. Like you really have to sacrifice line a ton. Whereas like on a flat track, you can cut the line a little bit, but it's not as obvious to get like such a big gain. And like realistically, our cars run the same amount of grip. Mm-hmm. Maybe mine even a little bit more compared to his.
Yeah.
Being like a true rear-wheel drive car, and I think I have better suspension geometry than his does. Yeah. Although they've figured out a lot on that car, and it was super good.
Yeah.
But from what I understand, it was still pretty hard to drive.
Well, and he was blowing CDs like left, right, and center.
Yeah.
Like he was when we were in Atlanta, like he blew, I want to say 4.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and Duff was not happy.
Yeah.
Because I won't mention the brand, but it's a very respectable brand building these. Yeah. And he's like, we brought a bunch because we figured this would happen. And he's like I remember standing there when Riley comes back and he gets out of the car. He goes, it happened again. And it wasn't like it was happening in the same spot.
No.
It was happening in different spots of the CV every time.
Well, yeah.
And they're like, yeah, this is our last one. It's like, okay, well.
It's hard too, because, I mean, you take a chassis that's not meant to be, 800 horsepower, rear-wheel drive, and then you do that.
You put 2J in it.
Yeah, so, but, like, hats off for Riley, fucking slays, like, and honestly, like, he said it, I said it too, like, CSCS last round, him and, like, me going one more time twice, most fun I've had.
Yeah?
Like, probably the most fun I had all year.
I got some good
especially for competition driving, most fun I had, like, hands down, because just like good dude. I know he's gonna be like straight up. There's no gonna be like no games, nothing like that.
He's not gonna check you like halfway.
So it's just like we're just gonna like throw down, try to get super tight, like throw down good tandems, so like people to watch and
they
put on a good show, and like it was so much fun, and like would I have liked to won? Absolutely, but like am I mad that like a good dude won? Absolutely not. Like it was super fun throwing down, and like we got to drive more, which was cool. So
you guys got a lot of seat time on that.
Yeah, so it was that was like super crazy. It was so much fun. It was just like line up like time after time with them and just go. It was like super good. But
I was actually happy I got knocked out early so I could watch you guys go. I was like, I'm done for the day. All right, I'm just gonna spectate for the rest of it. It was awesome, and you could hear it too, like with Nick doing all the announcing. And he's just like screaming. He's got a bit of a high pitched voice to start with, and he's just screaming the whole time.
Yeah.
And everyone was going. That was the best turnout I think CSCS has ever had.
Oh yeah.
It was like, did you see the infield? It was packed. Like there was nowhere to park.
Oh,
the whole field was packed.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Well, their events are like they're big, right? They're good. They always draw a lot of spectators. So it's kind of they're a lot of fun to drive. I mean, as far as it just being a more local event, it's like lower cost to run. It's like just makes it easy to have a lot of fun because you're not investing a lot. So it's if something happens, it's less disappointing, and like if it goes well, you're like, hey, like I barely spent any money to be here, and like it's so close. Like I'm an hour or two from home, and we can just like drive and have fun, and then like end up going against a couple buddies and like just throwing down.
Just shoot the shit, right?
Yeah, it's like nothing better than that, So
like we all ended up hanging it in the pits afterwards. And it was just me, like, okay, guys, I have no idea what the hell I'm doing. Please tell me how to do this.
But that's
that's part of the community too, right? And it's not to get to the sponsor part, but it's good for the sponsorship in the way that it's a local event, so you're promoting local companies that you're working with at a local area, because some of these companies aren't going to get a lot of benefit if you're racing on the other side of the country or in another country. So
no, and I mean just like the huge turnout in general, right? Like it's
huge.
CSCS definitely is a good spot for like marketing, because I mean there is a lot of people that show up and a lot of people that are like super stoked to see cars there and whatever. So and I think there's something about people wanting to support like local dudes, right? Like if there's some guy from wherever, if he's like really cool or a really good driver or has a really good like cool car, then you might be like stoked on him. But like the guy's local, it almost doesn't matter what he drives. Like you're probably going to be stoked on him a bit anyways, just because he's like from your area or whatever, right? Like he represents your car culture, like so that's kind of, I don't know, that's something I see too. I like being able to see, if people can't come to Shannoville or wherever I go there, and maybe they see me on Instagram or something like that, and they can like come meet me or come see me drive or whatever, which is like, that's super cool too. Makes it a lot of fun. Especially if somebody tells you, like, oh man, I've been following you since like last year, and like this is my first chance to see you, and that's super rad, like doesn't
it's
really
still
get
weird.
much better than that.
Like, do you still find it weird, like when people do that?
Yeah, I mean,
like
I don't think it ever gets like normal, but it's getting a little bit more used to it in a sense, I guess. But it's still, I don't know, it kind of makes you want to put in the effort to like go to an event, because you see the people and they're like stoked to see your car, like check it out, or like maybe there's something that you like didn't post a picture of that they really want to see, or maybe you can only really see in person or whatever. They want to ask you about their setup because they're building a BMW of like with a similar motor or like whatever, they want to start drifting, so they have a question. So it's cool to I don't know, it's always cool to help other people get in the same sport.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, obviously I'm biased towards BMW, so
if
you got a BMW, come talk to me. But
anything else, go screw yourself. There's a BMW, we can work something out.
No, you can still talk to me, but I mean, it's funny, right? Like seeing, I guess, because there's not as many people that drive BMW. Not to say that I'm the first or the only, definitely not. But it's cool to see the BMW side of drifting grow, especially like locally. It's gone up quite a bit in the last year or two, and it's cool to be able to help. You know, if I like look around an event, and it's like I've seen like, oh, that guy like asked me about this, and you know, I told him to do this, and maybe he ended up doing it, or you know, I make modded knuckles, so like some guys bought modded knuckles for me, and like
you see them running it.
Yeah, then they run it, and like you know, I ask them how it is, and they're stoked on them, and whatever. It's cool to see, you know, people helping each other, and you know, it's good for everyone. If you know your car ends up breaking, you might go talk to that guy and say, oh, he has BMW, he has the same car as me, like maybe he has a spare part I need, or you know, people have come up to me for spare parts. I've had it sometimes, they've had spare parts for me, so it's you know, it works out that way, which is really nice, because if you're the only one doing it, it's hard, right? Like you're the only guy with a diesel Miata.
Yeah,
so the breaks, you know, what are the odds somebody has one, right?
Actually, funny story is when we were in Michigan, we hadn't even had the car running yet, and we couldn't get it running in Michigan. And one of the guys that was on the forum for the like that Cummins engine, the 4BT, I posted like, hey, I'm going to this event, like, because a lot of them are American. There's not a lot of those engines that are available in Canada.
Yeah.
So a couple of guys like, yeah, we'll come meet you, like, you know. So we're trying to get it started. One of the guys taps me on the shoulder. He's like, oh, I'm Mark. I'm like, holy shit, man, like from the board. He goes, yeah. He goes, I don't want to be an asshole, but that's wired wrong. There's like 6 wires in the whole fucking engine.
Yeah.
And he's like, that one's wrong. I'm like, really? He goes, I almost guarantee that if you swap those 2 wires, it'll start. I'm like, okay, so I did it. First start ever.
Awesome.
And then there's actually just a random photographer got a photo of me standing there, like my arms in the air, and the guy behind me that did it, like same thing, and just like the first cloud of black smoke coming out of it.
Yeah.
I like turned around and hugged the guy, like, oh my god, I would have been like, I would never even notice that.
Yeah.
So
but that's the thing, right? Like,
it's like one of those moments.
Having that community and like the support with like other people that are like-minded, like the same, you know, brand, whatever, or engine or whatever. It's like, I remember my first year, and I drove an SR Swap D30, and
that SR Swap D30,
the
one on the wall.
And driving that thing, and then I had some problems or whatever, and I ended up meeting Drew. I don't know if you know Drew McLean.
I know the name. I might have met him.
Anyways, I like found him because he had an SR swapped FCRX7.
Oh, cool.
I was like, hey man, you don't happen to have like, I forget what it was, if it was a Uniter or something. And it was just like, he had it, or he had a multimeter or something, and I ended up figuring out the problem, like, thanks to him. And it was just literally like, hey, that guy has the same engine as me. Like, let's go see if he has, you know, what I need. And like, I don't know, you're both like, oh, well, we run the same engine, we have like similar interests, so now we can be friends, basically. You know?
It's weird. Like, it's like seeing another person with a blue shirt. Like, you got a blue shirt, I got a blue shirt. We're hanging out today.
Yeah, you know. So it's, I mean, the local community is pretty. I mean, I think in drifting, it's like that everywhere, or it seems like, which is super awesome. But from what I've seen, you know, at Top and everything, it's like there's so many people with similar interests, and you know, you kind of form a new group of friends. Like, all of my friends now all like have BMWs.
Yeah, I know.
Originally they
all
didn't,
gray,
you know?
all gray with yellow headlights.
Yeah. So, but you know, it's like through a similar interest, we've all kind of become good buddies, and whatever. It's pretty awesome. You know, it's shit you can't pay for, right?
No,
like,
you can't buy that friendship.
No, so.
You can't. He's gonna buy a BMW, but
well, but
and they're getting cheaper.
Yeah,
getting a lot cheaper.
Awesome. I don't know. I can't believe people didn't catch on sooner. To be honest, I mean,
it is a good chassis, and the people I know that do run it are like, it's all they can talk about. They're like, it's like this hidden gem. Like, it's the geometry's there. It's lacking a little bit of power here, and you got to change 1 or 2 things with the knuckles.
Yeah, but
that's
even if you compare to like a 240, for instance, which probably get a lot of flack for this, but
it's a cookie
cutter. They're great. No, they're great cars. But I mean, if you look out of the box, E36 versus like S13, S14.
Yeah.
Suspension geometry is arguably better on the rear of a 240 because it's, you know, has more arms, so there's more adjustability. You can replace more things and make adjustments easy, which is super nice.
Yeah.
But the BMW is really good just stock. Like, if you adjust the camber, you literally, like, on my FD car, which, you know, I think is maybe not the most competitive car, but with like more power, would be a super competitive chassis.
Yeah.
Literally only has one aftermarket arm in the back.
That's it?
Yeah.
Is that the isn't there like a trailing arm that's built in?
Trailing arm, which is upgraded to a 330 one, but that's only for size, not for adjustment. It does the exact same thing as any other one.
Yeah.
Well, it has a bigger bearing, so then the bigger half shaft. That's literally it. But I have an adjustable camera arm. That's it, the lower arm. And so besides that, I mean, like, say if you left stock suspension on both and you just did coils, didn't do steering mods, you know, just stock for stock engine, like stock engine for stock engine.
Yeah.
If you have a 6-cylinder BMW, like an E36 versus an S13 and an S14. Yeah. Way better car, in my opinion.
Yeah, but you're a little biased, but whatever.
I'm super biased, but I mean, if you look at the power, you know, a KA versus an M52 or an M50. Yeah. You know, you got 6-cylinder torque, displacement, and like they make decent power. And I mean,
it's a good power band too.
Yeah, and to learn how to drift, it's like a great setup. I mean, even if you're more experienced, it's still an awesome setup. Yeah. BMWs have so much lock compared to Japanese cars factory. Mm-hmm. Like, I remember driving my buddy Mike's FC when it was still rotary, and I think those things have like 20 degrees of steering angle. Like, I spun the car. I was driving my E30 at the time, and it was Booney's Bash the first year I drove, and the SR blew like a couple laps after I got there, basically. And so Mike was nice enough to let me drive his car, and I think I spun it like 10 times in a row. Like, I'm just like so used to, and I mean, I had angle mods on the E30 too, so probably didn't help that it was such a drastic difference. But I'm pretty sure BMW's in the 50-degree range factory. Jeez. Compared to like an FC that was probably around 20. So you're killing me, because the FC was like the next car. I'm like, I should build an FC, because I want to build an FD, but there's a long legal story. I paid to import one and it never showed up. Oh, okay. Anyways, we'll get into that later. But like, yeah, I was looking at an FC next, but yeah, okay, good. I mean, first thing, no, they're good, but there are better chassis, I think. I mean, if you're gonna buy every part for a car, then I don't think it really matters, because you can fix any geometry. You can really do a lot of corrections to make any car really good. So, I mean, that being said, you know, if you want to spend a bunch of money and build a car like crazy, pick whatever you want, basically, and it's up to you, you know. But why not start with something good already? Fair enough. You could buy an E36 and just drive it. Like, coilovers, weld the diff, drive it. That's seriously, you don't need to do anything else. Jeez. And I mean, maybe I'll switch my. You might be convincing me to go BMW. You got any like old ones sitting at the shop? Like, I just got rid of a couple. Did you? There'll be more cars, parts cars. Yeah. You see what I drive. I'll drive a scrap car. But no, I mean, they are just super good. And like, disclaimer, I was brought up on BMWs. Yeah. Like, my parents both love BMWs. My mom always like wanted BMW summer car. And that was like a dream she had from working her ass off to get a house and all that stuff, right? So that was like a goal they had. And when I was, I guess, in high school, my mom got her first BMW that I remember, at least, and it was an E36. Oh, nice. And I was like, man, like, I want one of these. Like, this is super cool. Nice, like, I want this car one day. Yeah. And I don't know, they're just, my dad's a mechanic as well. I'm a mechanic, and I just kind of got brought up that, like, oh, BMW is a good car to work on, and like, they're reliable, and parts last long, and everything's high quality. Allen so keys everywhere. Yeah. Well, so I'm definitely like the most biased person ever. That's alright, as long as you know you're biased. And I mean, I have no problem spreading my influence, like spreading my bias. I don't care. We just take this moment to just. I mean, I'm not going to tell you to drive something that I don't believe in myself. Yeah, I'm going to tell you. It's not like I don't abide by it. Like, I've had E36 dailies before. My practice car used to be an E36. I had an E30 for forever, and now I drive an E46 on the track, and like, it's definitely it's a head turner too. Like, because there's not a lot of people use it. That's cool about it too. Like, I don't know. I mean, it's nice to have a car that not everybody has. Some of it makes it a little harder. Like, if you want a body kit or something, you can't just buy whatever you want. There isn't a million options. Yeah. So, but I mean, makes it cool. You got to be a little bit more, I don't know, I guess, imaginative and figure stuff out on your own. I mean, I haven't quite gotten there yet, but my car still looks pretty, I'm not that happy with it, but
Well,
It'll get better and better.
That's anybody. Like, there's very few people I talk to that have any type of project car in one way or another. That's like, yeah, it's perfect. Because if it was perfect, you stop fucking working on it.
Yeah.
And then you just don't go any further, right? It's that weird little tick in the back of your head that says it's not perfect yet. That keeps us pushing.
Yeah,
it's the whole reason why automotive racing in any way it keeps going. Is that weird little self-conscious thing of like, my car's not the best.
Yeah.
even if it is.
Yeah, it's crazy, but definitely like body style changes that's number one, I think.
Yeah.
Right now for me, what I want to change, because I don't know, it's good. It's not that I dislike the way the car looks, but it's not the image I have in my head. You know what I mean? So it's just like before it was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna really focus on making it competitive and put all of my effort and money and everything into making it competitive. And now I'm kind of more just like, okay, the car is pretty good. Like, I like it the way it is. And I don't think I have the budget or resources to make 1,000 horsepower. So
nitrous. I'm just telling you right now, just nitrous.
Well, but I don't know.
Yeah,
I think that my axle problems might multiply.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. I guarantee it.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
That shit comes on hard.
Like, I still have like the turbo is running literally the same boost as it ran the year before.
Really?
Yeah, I just did cams and a couple other things. I went to a better sized turbo and like a nicer turbo, like built compressor wheel, all that crap.
All that crap.
Yeah. Well, it's like a deck turbo, but I mean, any turbo spins the wheel, so it's
That's
fun.
the thing, yeah.
But it is like a lot nicer setup, but it's literally running the same boost because lots of delays last year. I couldn't dyno a car, and I just ended up running it the way it was, and I was just like, I'm gonna run it where it's safe, and so. But now I'm a little scared because I already broke so much stuff. So
yeah, but it's out of the way. Yeah, so the weed shit's gone, right?
Yeah, hopefully next year just don't break anything. That'd be amazing.
You just weeded out all the bad parts.
But yeah,
it is this year. How crazy is that?
Oh my god, it's coming quick. Yeah, I'm kind of pushed the car to the side a little bit. I needed like a bit of a break to just kind of have a breather and save some money and whatever. But it's gonna be time to start hammering real soon. Yeah, for sure. So
I gotta ask, like, where did the Moneygang name come from? Because like everybody calls you just Moneygang Steve.
Yeah.
Like, I talk to anyone like I'm like, oh, Steve, Van something or other.
And like, they don't know who that is.
Is it Sleuwen?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, what, that guy? I'm like, yeah. They're like, oh, it's Moneygang Steve. And I'm like, okay. And then I see like Team Moneygang and all that shit. So like, there's gotta be a good joke there or something.
Yeah, absolutely. It's actually, I'm glad you brought it up because I think it's gone basically unexplained, and it is, for starters, super ironic. We're not rich.
No, I know.
Despite driving a BMW, it's not expensive BMW.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not driving a new one by any means.
It's not 328i or an M3 or.
Yeah, so but basically what happened was I went to my first drift event. I want to say it was the last event of 2013.
Okay.
And then that was my first ever drift day that I went to at Top, and like I had a blast. I totally loved it, fell in love, and I was like, okay, I want to drift. Like, this is definitely something I want to do.
You do it once, and shit.
So that winter, I was like, okay, the car was like a street car before, like been in a magazine. I just like painted it from red to white, and like spent a ton of money and like insane amount of time like trying to make the car perfect, like painted it in and out, like
I know
red to white. So
because you had that little shop in that backyard, right?
No, it was at my family's truck shop, and I would make a booth over the weekend and like spray, like I laid the high build primer and then like tear down the booth because like it was a functioning shop during the week.
Oh Jesus!
And so insane amount of time. I like to do stuff myself, DIY, like pick up a skill. If I'm doing something, I'd rather pick up a skill. Not the first time I painted a car, but most successful for sure. Still not perfect, but I was pretty happy with it considering. But anyway, so I just painted the car white and like way too much money, and then went to H2O because that was my goal to like make it for H2O. Went down there, like had a blast with a bunch of my friends for a week, like hanging out, cruising the strip, going to meets and stuff like that, which was a ton of fun. And then I came back and buddy Devo was like, hey man, like you should go to Top Drift, like you should do a drift event.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, that's like a super cool idea. Like I like sliding cars, it's fun. Like
Yeah.
You know, I've like goofed around parking lots or like slid some corners in the snow. Like,
we've all done it.
Yeah, definitely.
We've all done it.
Super fun, right? So I went to that event, fell in love, and that winter I was like, okay, sold. You know, I had a nice interior, sold that. I had BBS RSs, sold those. Like, just sold everything that I thought that was too nice to break on the track.
Wow.
Because my first drift event, I drove the car on RSs and like cracked 2 barrels and
oh my god,
just I had spare barrels, so it wasn't the end of the world.
Matter,
but
still,
it was
there's
just
some stance kid right now crying.
Yeah. Oh, I remember Riley came up to me, and the first time I ever met him, never heard of him. Like, I'd never even gone to watch a drifting event before. Yeah. So I literally just went, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to go try this. And Riley comes up to me, he's like, hey man, this car is way too nice to be here. Like, you shouldn't do this. Like,
so a little bearded guy, right?
I took that advice, I guess, and sold, you know, as much nice stuff as I could, and then I kind of did a couple like drift friendly upgrades. Nothing like too crazy. I think I did like the wider control arms and like rack spacers and just like basic stuff to make the car a little bit more drift ready. Yeah. I ended up, Devo, I guess, put me in contact with Marin, and Marin kind of gave me some advice because he had an SR 240. So I asked him about my SR, like what I kind of needed to do for the track. So I like did a bigger rad and stuff like that, and just wanted to make it reliable, and I wanted to drive the next year, and I wanted to try compete. So I was like, you know, I'll do whatever. Somebody that is already doing this, I'm going to take their advice and kind of put it forward and see, you know, what I can make of it. But so back to the Moneygang, which is what this is all about.
No,
terrible for run-on stories.
Everybody does it.
So what happened was that winter, after my first drift event, me, Christoph, Devo, whatever, like my group of friends, we would play Forza 4 and like drift in Forza 4 and like try to screw around in that and just kind of like off-season practice, so to speak, and just, you know, having fun hanging out with like friends. And so we started like making like liveries and like dumb stuff, and you know, it started off with just like goofy crap all over the car, and then we kind of like started to try to make like cooler looking cars. And I used to just like drive, like I had an E30 in that game because I drove an E30 in real life, so I was stoked on that. And drove like FDR X7s and like a bunch of cars I thought were cool, you know? Yeah. And it somehow, I think it was kind of indirectly somebody else came up with it, I guess. I think Devo came up with it, but I guess put it into practice. Okay. In a way. So we came up with this like swang bang Moneygang, and we just thought it was like a funny, like just like a kind of like a dumb saying. Yeah. And actually, I guess technically it was from, I don't know if you know who Chris Hillis is. No. Which is like kind of funny to give him a bit of a shout out, I guess. But there's this dude in the States that has a BMW that drifts as well. And he made like a Kijiji ad that went like super viral, and it was like an E36 for sale, and this car will like swerp and swang. And,
I have seen this.
Yeah, so that's, I guess, kind of where it came from in a way, and I think Devo like really like thought that was hilarious, and he's like buddies with Chris Hillis now, like on Facebook and stuff, and like they send each other memes, like so
the ultimate man,
which is like all because of like a Kijiji ad, which is hilarious.
Oh my god.
So I guess he kind of like used the terminology of like swerping and swanging. So then we were like just joking around and like making dumb team names and liveries, and it came down to like swang bang Moneygang, and we just thought it was like a funny group of words. And
just a good rhyme.
It was stupid, yeah. So anyway, so it was kind of just a thing we did, like played in Forza, and there was 1 or 2 cars that had that like sort of livery on it, and that was basically it. It was just
4 years later.
Said swang bang on one side and Moneygang on the other side, and that was it. And then so the next 2014, I was like, oh, I want to drift, and I was like, I want to try competing. Like, why not, right? Yeah. So that winter I signed up for like CSCS for the full season, and I guess whenever I was signing up, it asked, you know, all your details, like what car you drive, your name, like what car number you want and stuff. And one of them was team name. Yeah. And I was like, man, I don't know what the hell to put for team name. Like I don't have a team. Like I'm literally like the only one out of my friends, like out of my close friends that is drifting. Yeah. So I'm just gonna like try it, you know. My friends are gonna come with me and like hang out and stuff and help. But like I didn't have a team. You know, there was no team, so to speak, at the point. So it just kind of, I just put in Swang Bang Moneygang because I just literally had no idea what else to put. So I was like, I may as well put something. Like, they're probably never going to use this. Like, it's just like, you have to put in a team name. So I just did it.
Oh
and then it just kind of, I guess, like when they announced like the drivers and stuff like that, or you're doing like a battle or whatever, they'd be like, oh, this is, Steven Van Sleuwen from Swang Bang Moneygang Drift Team.
Oh my God.
And then it just kind of like evolved to people just calling me Moneygang Steve or Mr. Moneygang. I think that's what it was. It was like, New Vision's Anthony would call me Moneygang, and then, or Mr. Moneygang, and then it kind of developed into Moneygang Steve, and I was like, hey man, like, this is taking off. Like, people
marketing, man.
Yeah, like,
yeah, it's great marketing.
So, I mean, I think like it wouldn't really be my first choice because the implications, like, if you search like the hashtag Moneygang on Instagram,
I know,
it's pretty hilarious.
Oh,
like,
it's good.
It's just a bunch of dudes, like gangsters, like flashing money and like, so not really like the best affiliation. But
you're here. You could just switch to Swang Bang.
Yeah,
I'm sure that hashtag would yield something good.
So I mean, whatever. It's hilarious, and like we kind of try to roll with it, and like that's why like my cage is gold, and like try to run like shiny wheels and stuff, because like I want to like roll with it, and like I think it's pretty funny, just like where it came from, and it just not being intentional and whatever. But some people might get the wrong idea, but I guess.
Should switch your number to like all fives and just like the long strips so it looks like dollars.
Yeah.
Because you're what, 999?
999. Yeah.
Is there any correlation there? You just didn't want to do 666 or?
Sort of, yeah. That's part of it.
He's like, this probably wouldn't look good if I had 666
on
the side of my car.
I mean, if I flip, then you're right.
Yeah, well, everyone's gonna know.
Yeah, I also like I mean, not that it's I'm putting a ton of effort into it, I guess, but me and a buddy started company making like the side skirts that I run on my car. That's 999 Tech.
Oh,
so that's kind of part of it. And I just I don't know.
Cool. 69.
Now I like the number, so I'm just sticking with it. And it's good because it's a really high number, so like not as many people have like triple digit numbers.
No,
and,
they
like,
don't.
It's basically the last number you can pick without going 4 digits, so it's kind of likely that nobody else will pick it, which I like.
Fuck you, buck stops here.
Yeah, but so it's just kind of how it went. I mean, it kind of snowballed out of control, and I just kind of had no choice but to just like run with it, because like if everyone's calling you Moneygang Steve, you're not going to be like, no, I'm not. Like, so
I'm A1 Racing now.
Yeah,
no, you're not. You're Moneygang.
Yeah, so now it's 3 seasons later, and it's still all right. So now we have like our drift team with like me, Christoph, Mike, Devo. And now Jordan is joining.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah. Cool.
So it's super cool. All BMWs.
I was going to say all great BMWs.
Yeah. We waited till Jordan had like at least half of his car painted before he was allowed to officially be in. Cause
that's funny.
You gotta show some commitment.
Yeah, that's part of it. You're basically part of the gang now. Like literally, it's a money gang.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So that's a lot of fun. I mean, the team is, I guess, semi-serious in a way, but not overly serious.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's the way.
We're just all like drifting and want to have fun and tandem and rub gray on gray. So
and then you can't tell.
Yeah,
can't tell who hit you. Just gray on gray.
It's a good time. Like we all help each other out with one thing or another. Like everyone brings something to the table, so it's cool to work together and like try to push each other collectively in a group, right? And then on top of that, help each other like individually. Like Jordan has been helping me like as my pit crew.
Oh, okay.
And so has Devo and Christoph. They've been coming to events with me for like pretty much since the beginning. Or I guess since the beginning, literally.
Yeah.
Since CSCS, like Christoph came with me. It was like, hey man, let me give you a hand, And, like, it's cool. Like I didn't realize, or you don't realize before you do it, how much the people that are there with you make like a big difference.
Yeah.
Because if you're there, by yourself, and you got to drive and then like change your own tires and set tire pressures and put the gas in and fix the car when it's broken, or
you just kind of sit there and wait for your turn.
Yeah, like it makes it really hard because it's already kind of stressful, and then on top of that, something breaks. That's when really like you see like, oh, I'm on my own and I can't fix this in time, or there's no way I'll be able to do this, or I need somebody just as simple as like holding something, or you're laying under the car and you're like buried and you're just like, oh, I need a tool or whatever. So I definitely, if anything, I've learned like from us having like the team and then just people helping me, like Christoph and stuff, helping me at events.
Yeah.
It's been like, it's crazy. You know, you don't see, like last year hitting a wall, and you're just like, oh, I'm done. Like, this is the weekend for me. I literally got out of the car and see like a wheel just flailing off the car. And I'm just like, okay, that's it. Like, I'm done. No more. And then the same practice I drove.
Yeah, I know.
Like, that's totally insane and like unimaginable. And like that support, and like Christoph's my spotter, and he'll just like, we'll talk back and forth. Like, I'll run a practice of like, man, like I'm not really happy with this, or like I'm pretty stoked on this, and he might give me a reality check and say like, listen, man, you aren't like, you're half a car off the wall. Like, you need to step it up.
Yeah.
And then I'll be like, okay, like, that's. Otherwise, you don't know, right?
Don't know. Sometimes you think you're that close, and in your mind you're saying to yourself, I'm close enough. I'm close enough.
So and it's good, right? So it's super cool, and like, you know, I'm hoping that Christoph can drive a bit more competition, and then I can return the favor and help him out. And
he's come a long way drifting. Like, seeing him just even at the beginning of the season at top to like the last day, like
Christoph throws down.
I was like, Jesus. And I looked at because him and I kind of knew each other back from way back in the day, right? Like the old Kennedy Commons days. I talked to him, like, yeah, you didn't recognize me because I don't have the Mohawk anymore.
Yeah.
So we started chatting, and I was like, so what turbo are you running this? He's like, I'm still NA. I'm like, fuck right off.
Yeah.
He's like, what? I'm like, dude, you huck that hard.
Oh, yeah.
He goes, yeah. He goes, I throw it in, and I just mat it. Yeah. And then I just try and hold on to everything.
Yeah, no, dude, he throws down. That guy, like...
It's crazy.
I've said it a ton of times.
He keeps up with you. Like, he's right there.
Oh, yeah. I've told him, like, a ton of times. I've told so many people, that guy with, like, a budget, basically. Like, if you had a budget to do, basically, you may say spend as much as I spend, or, you know, just to get a car to close to that level,
just
or
to
whatever.
Get some power adders in there, even.
He could run FD Canada. He could run, you know, whatever. Like,
he's
the guy can drive 100%. He just needs more car. And I mean, the car he has, he still throws down. Like, don't get me wrong.
He it.
Yeah.
This is so stupid.
Not my favorite part of it.
No, but like,
I'm a total advocate of dedicating a track car.
Yeah.
Like it's great for your driving. Although it doesn't seem to restrict him too much.
No.
Because he'll still like run the wall and whatever. But
and he's getting within like less than a foot of you. He's coming towards the wall.
Oh,
yeah.
What
the fuck is he doing? He's gonna drive that home.
It's no, it's one of my, like, to be completely honest, one of my favorite people to drive with. Like, yeah, I love driving with.
There's a lot of trust in tandem.
I really, really wish he had a higher power car. It would be a little bit more fun for me to like chase and stuff.
Yeah.
But that being said, it's another, you know, me having a car with like a ton of grip in it, and then more power, and like having to keep it in boost and whatever.
Yeah.
And then his car being a bit slower, it gives me like a good challenge to chase, which is a lot of fun too.
And keep angle while not keeping.
Yeah, you know, it's practice. You know, it's a different form of practice. You know, compared to like driving an FD and just trying to keep up with everyone.
Flat
now it's like, oh, I have to stay behind them. So that's a lot of fun. But
I know what you mean. It'd be nice if he was a little quicker.
Yeah.
We just yell at him upstairs. Buy a fucking turbo.
Oh, I yell at him all the time. Don't
worry. Get down here. Buy a turbo.
Yeah. But no, it's a ton of fun. I mean, that's like, I think that's part of the reason we all kind of collectively like became like a team, was just to, you know, that way it's like every track day it's like, okay, we're gonna like make a plan and like focus on like going out together, because like, I don't know, it's a ton of fun of going out and like honing your skill on your own, but like once you've driven Shannonville so many times, you kind of get to the point where you're like, okay, I want to be like behind somebody or somebody behind me to make it like interesting, and like, you know, I want to like learn new skills every time I go. I don't want to just plateau and stay where, you know, stay at the same level. Every time I go to Shannonville, if I don't learn something, I'm disappointed. You know?
Well, it's like, okay, so do you know Texas Drift, or was it All Star Drift? No. Yeah, All Star? No.
Lone Star.
Thank you. Have you seen their new qualification rules, like how they're doing it? It's a great system, because they made, like, same thing. I was listening to the Maximum Driftcast, and they had him on, and he's talking about it. He goes, you've got all these guys who are super talented driving by themselves, and they qualify, but because they're fresh to this system, like fresh to the traditional system, they get like a little bit of tandem time, and that's where makes or breaks the whole race.
Yeah.
You can qualify high, but if you can't tandem well, then that's it. And the other problem is too, is that guys that are fresh entries or low power, you know what I mean, they qualify low, that means that they're facing the best guys and they're getting banged out in the first round, but then they're getting no tandem practice.
No, I mean, his system's awesome. I've talked to him a couple times. Well, I think at least once, and I follow like his. I think I'm a member of the Lone Star Drift like series Facebook group or whatever.
Yeah.
Just kind of like, I don't know. I like to see what's going on in like other series and stuff. And,
like, that's good.
Just, I guess make mental notes for myself for whatever reason I'm going to use them for. I don't know, but
you never know, because you could be seeing other cars in there, like other, even not of that, but somebody doing something different, like a different dry sump system or the way they cage something or the suspension setup.
Well, it's just it's like my biggest interest is just like it's cool to see somebody like trying to break the mold a bit and innovate and like make something different, try something different, even if it doesn't work. And on top of that, I'm just super jealous of like the street legal class.
It's such a good class,
which is so cool. Like, I wish we had something like that here. But that being said, we're in Canada, so and Texas is very far. So
it's driving to Atlanta, I can tell you Texas is far.
Yeah. So, but no, it's I don't know. It's interesting to see what else is going on in like the drift community and what other people are doing.
Yeah.
And I guess I just like to keep on top of it and see what's up. But
it would be nice if we had a bit more, because we're kind of relegated to three forms of drifting, like where we are. We've got open drift, like top drift, and there's one other one, I can't remember, the name's escaping me right now, where it's just like pay to play kind of thing. And then you've got CSCS, which is like your opener before you basically have to go to Formula Drift Canada.
Yeah.
There's really nothing in between. And there's
a little bit. I mean, yes and no. I mean,
like the Quebec side has a lot more.
Yeah, Quebec side, you just have to travel. That's like the bottom line. I mean, we're in Canada. It's a huge country, so you're kind of, if you want to participate in Canada, then it's a big place to participate in, right?
You go into it knowing that. I just mean it'd be nice if, like, even in Ontario, we had one more kind of league, like something.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard because CSCS is kind of it's stuck in like a weird loop, I guess, almost like
in between ground.
Yeah, like it could be if there was more people willing to invest and drive that series. Like, it's a good series, but you can't have like a medium level series without medium level drivers and medium level budgets.
Yeah.
So if everybody that wants to drive the series is running like, for the most part, not everyone, but for the most part is running like a low budget or basically a street car, then, it can't really evolve past that because that's what they have to work with. So they can't, say run layouts that are for higher horsepower cars because it just won't work or whatever. So they're kind of stuck with what they have. And there just really isn't like, as much as there's a lot of people that go to Top Drift, there isn't that many people that want to compete. So
no, they just want to go and hoon.
Yeah, so which is like totally cool,
awesome,
but without that like base of drivers that want to compete at a certain level, you can't run a series at that level because nobody shows up. It's not fun. Like,
no,
you go to an event and there's 5 people driving. Like, it's not fun if no matter what you do, you qualify. Basically, there's no challenge in that either, and
you don't learn anything. You don't develop it.
You really need like at least say 20 people so that to have a top 16, you still have to qualify. And there is a chance of not making it.
Or if guys just don't show up, kind of thing. Like, because not all 20 people are gonna be able to hit every event. You hope they would.
Well, you would hope that you have at least a steady 20 people, and say you have 25 people, and then a couple don't come, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like with FD Canada, the first year I drove, there was like I think closer to 40 people registered for the series, and then on average there was a solid. Say 30 drivers or whatever. So you have to be better than half, basically,
just
to qualify, right? And it makes it super challenging. And then, but you're not going to go thinking you don't have a chance, right?
Yeah.
Because there's that many drivers, you really got to think like, oh, okay, there's a good chance of me qualifying, or like I'm really willing to invest to go see if I can.
Yeah.
Right? You're not going to go for no reason, or the average person isn't. So, I mean, it's hard, right, to find a balance, but there is DMCC Pro-Am, which is competitive as far as I've heard.
Yep.
But and there's a couple other. You just have to go to Quebec. That's like the bottom line. There's ASE Drift Club, They run like super cool grassroots style drift events at Saint Eustache, I think.
Which is
basically always Saint Eustache, as far as I know. And they ran like a mini sort of like competition. And I forget what the qualifying format was, but it wasn't the same as like your typical top 16 first goes against last sort of thing. And they ran that. I think that was at a drift night, and it was like before an FD event or something.
Okay.
So we ended up watching it, and it was like super cool to watch, and like there was a good mix of like level of cars and stuff like that. But they were limited tire size, I think.
Oh, that's
which
a
is
good idea.
That's something that will
like 245.
That's how you set up. To me, that's how you set up the a class. Like if you don't want people coming with like, I think they also had a rule that like no FD drivers were allowed to drive.
Yeah.
Which is also like totally cool. But it's if you have like, you know, everybody there has to run 225, it kind of doesn't matter if you have like say 600 wheel, because it's gonna help you a little bit, but like at least a guy with 200 wheel with a 225 has a chance of hanging, you know.
Yeah.
And like you might need to drive a bit better, but it's not like going to be a guy with 600 wheel and a 275 versus a 225. You know, it's
you're just going to walk away from.
There's some form of equalization, which is really good.
Because it's hard to put a horsepower limit, because people will lie and change things.
Yeah, and I mean it doesn't. To an extent, it doesn't matter that much either. Like if you have 1,000 horsepower and you have a 225.
Yeah,
it's just going to be a more expensive car to drive, but it's not really going to be better
and you're going to go through those tires a lot faster.
Yeah, it's not going to be a really better car than a car with 500 wheel and a 225. So
yeah, it's not really a game about traction. So.
Yeah, so and then like it's cool because then maybe you'll learn how to set up the car for grip. Like you're going to have to put an emphasis on it. Whereas if you can just stuff a bigger tire on and not change your suspension setup, then you know, so at least you're like learning stuff too. But I mean, I think if you're willing to put in the effort, there's quite a bit available. It's just you got to commit. You need a truck and trailer to drive like 5-6 hours to an event, and then you kind of got to be willing to like, you know, make that trek and make that investment
and learn French. And...
Yeah, well, they're pretty good too. I mean, we'll do drivers meetings and they'll be English and whatever.
Let's talk about you behind your back.
Yeah, you don't know. So yeah,
does it really hurt if you don't know?
But yeah, I mean, I think like CSCS is a great start.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the first competition I did. It was just like, I'm just going to dive in and do this. And like, I had a lot of fun doing it. And there was a couple of guys there that like had way more car than the other guys.
Yeah.
And you know, that's just the way it is. But like those cars can break. They can, you know, they can screw up and hit a wall or whatever. So like, you know, as much as like they might have an advantage and like if they have a lot more experience and a lot more car or whatever, okay, whatever, but you know, that's just another thing for you to learn, another like, you know, another hurdle for you to like, that's going to push you to be a better driver. I mean, if everybody around you isn't very good, then there's not much that's going to push you to be a better driver. So it is like, you know, you might complain and say, oh, I want to win. Well, but like, you just go and win. That's not really learning. Like, but if you go and say finish like 8th place, but you were up against a bunch of good guys and like you learned stuff driving with them, you know, and had to push yourself to keep up, you know, fix your line to chase a faster car or whatever, that's progression, you know, that's learning. And that's like, to me, that's why I go compete. Like, I don't have the fastest car there, but I go and I try to learn every round and I try to improve my driving. And like, sure, maybe to win, I'm going to have to be like drive 100% on to keep up with the car that has, you know, a couple hundred more horsepower, but it's still fun, you know. Like, I mean,
you're having a good time.
Yeah, I'd love to just be winning, but you know, it's just not the reality. And like, I'm not willing to spend the budget to do that, or I don't have the budget to do that. So it's just, you know, it is what it is. And every year I learn like a ton, and you know, I mean, in the end, that's what I want. Like, I just want to get better as a driver, and I think if that's your goal, you're gonna have fun, and you can always find somewhere to drive that is gonna push you to be there. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I think the only like drawback, I guess, to driving like a higher end series is like, if you know the rule book requires cage, fire suit, like all these expensive things that, you know, it's just a big chunk of money on
cages,
not necessarily exactly. So if you have all that, and then, you know, even if you want like decent power to keep up with this car, it gets expensive. So
Mm-hmm.
sure, I mean, but if you want it that bad, then you'll do it, and if you don't, then you drive something more low key maybe, and there's nothing wrong with that. You can go to Shannonville or whatever sort of grassroots event, and you can just go drive for fun. There's nothing wrong with that, and
Yeah.
you can push yourself on your own time, on your own budget to build the car or whatever. Like, I mean, you can absolutely take like a stock car like an E36 and throw it on coils and a diff and just,
as you were saying, back to that first
point.
yeah.
But you can literally do that, and you could drive it for say 3 seasons and keep pushing yourself as a driver, and you don't necessarily need to build the car, but it's
eventually
any car guy likes building a car too.
Oh,
so
yeah.
that's the other part of it, right? Like,
it's a disease.
you see a lot of guys that build a ton of car and don't have a lot of experience. I'm like, hey man, if it's maybe not the best way to learn, but if that's what you want to do to like have fun and you like building a car, do it.
Eventually
like,
catch up to the car.
Yeah, have fun. Just seat time is like definitely like a big part of the battle, and if you can like drive like a medium car like that and then find some people to tandem with and stuff, that's gonna be like
it's your bread and butter. Right?
Yeah, that's gonna build you as a driver, and then, but I don't know. I mean, I only know my own experience, right? And I only have, this was my 3rd season, so I don't.
I guess it would be. Yeah.
I'm not the most experienced driver in the world. So.
No, but it's good. It's good talking to somebody who's not, because like I mean, you're still going through not the struggle, but you're still making.
Well, yeah,
you're making the moves. You're working your way.
I think even like a guy that's been driving 10 years, you're still learning. Like, there's stuff you run into that you haven't run into before, and whether that's dealing with like broken cars or new guys to drive with, or
guys with
different formats, or whatever. Right? Yeah. There's so many variables, so I don't think you ever. I mean, I kind of hope not. I don't want to see an end to drifting for myself. I don't see one at this point, but
good.
I want to keep doing it, and the reason I see that future is because like I think there'll always be something to learn, and like if I'm do FD Canada and I start to do better in that and I'm more successful, then I'll go drive a different series to challenge myself again, and it's probably going to cost more money and whatever, but I mean. It's part of the game, and if you're that committed, then you do it, and if you're not, then if you just, even if you are that committed but you just don't want to spend that much money, you'll find somewhere else to do it. And if that's just driving a local series or just driving grassroots and having fun doing it with your friends, it's like totally nothing wrong with that. Like, that's, I still, like, some of the most fun I have is going to tandem with like my team at Shannonville. Like, I look forward to that like crazy, because it's like the most just like fun driving time I get to have, where it's like you don't have to worry about qualifying, you don't have to worry about like a tire budget or anything. It's like I just bring a bunch of used tires, maybe some like half burns or something, and just go try to like get as much track time with my buddies as I can, and try to learn more still, but like it's just have a good time and like try to help each other as a driver, like as drivers. Like me and Chris often stuff will like switch lead and chase like back and forth, or sometimes he's been like super awesome. He's just chase me for like 5 laps, and I'm like, oh, like this is the best thing ever, because like chasing is the most fun. Leading is like whatever. I can do a lead line around Shannonville, like I've done it a million times.
I've seen you do it without
so,
straightening too.
Yeah, it's just like it's still fun, but like I don't know. I rather like chase and push myself and like try different lines and whatever, and that like chasing somebody can really make like a course different. Like,
because you've got a moving clipping point.
Yeah, you're not driving a course, you're driving against the car. That's like, that's so much fun, and like I just like building myself as a driver, I guess. So which I think anybody does, right? Like that's why you go. You want to like, I used to like skateboard a bunch and like snowboard and stuff, and I would I would never go to just ride the hill. It was like. That's why I don't really snowboard as much anymore, because like I couldn't go without pushing. Like unless I'm in the park and like hurdling myself off jumps and then coming home broken, it's not like I don't have that much fun. Like unless you go to like the Swiss Alps, and then
that's just challenging because that's where you are.
Yeah, and like, but you can't afford to do that all year long. So
no,
but I mean, it's
definitely something.
Yeah.
So the one question I did have though is you keep saying like you got your car set up for grip. Like what exactly have you done to ensure that?
Okay, well I guess the biggest control part of any suspension is the actual suspension itself, the coilovers. BC hooked me up with ER series or ER type.
Sure.
And
I don't know BC's line very well.
Yeah, it's basically like I get like a mid range, like it's like semi, but pretty intense. For me, it's like craziest suspension I've ever had. Super rad stuff. They're double adjustable, external reservoir.
Oh, perfect.
They're compression and rebound adjustable. And BC was like super dope because they've been working with like other drivers like Chelsea Denofa.
Yeah.
And they've done their own kind of R&D on the setup and like what setups work and what doesn't for drifting.
Mm-hmm.
So they basically gave me like a blueprint of like run these settings as like a base and go from there. So super rad because it's like I told them basically how I want the suspension to work.
Yeah.
And then they gave me feedback on like what they thought was good, and they gave me a setup and I literally plugged it in, like adjusted the coilovers and left it. Like it's super good. I mean, how I'm gonna like they've been going back and forth with Chelsea and like other drivers for like so long that they know what works.
Yeah.
And me being inexperienced, I was just like, I just want something that I know is good, works for other people, and I'll learn to drive it. Like that's been like, this year was probably the first year where I actually started doing a bit more of tuning the car to fit what I like and doing gear changes and stuff. First time I've ever done that because I always just mentality is, I'm inexperienced. I need to learn how to drive this thing, so I'm just gonna leave it the way it is, save for a major flaw. But basically the first year I didn't really change anything. I didn't change alignment, didn't change. I went down tire pressure over the season, but other than that, I didn't really adjust the car much. Whereas now I do a lot more of like tire pressure tuning for grip, and I've kind of seen what works and what doesn't, especially with the gear ratio. That was like the biggest changes for tracks to really like help make the car better to drive, like just kind of suit the car to the track so that because maybe it's not the like highest power car, I'm getting myself like the biggest advantage or making the car the most competitive.
Gotcha.
Instead of dealing with like it's bogging here, but like I'm just stuck with that. Now it's like okay, I'm gonna make the car like happy everywhere, or try to like find the best middle ground to make it super happy.
I might lose some here, but I'm gonna make it up here, here, and here, so it's worth it.
Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah. So, and whatever is gonna make the most sense for like tandem and to qualify well and whatever, I'm trying to make the car quick. But yeah, the biggest part of the suspension is like straight up the BCs as far as grip goes, because they're super awesome. The car just like squats super hard and just makes a ton of grip.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if that'd be like a rebound control kind of thing where you set it.
Yeah, basically, I don't remember what the exact settings are, but basically on the rear, the compression is really soft, and then the rebound is really stiff. So it wants to squat, and then it wants to stay there, and then the front is basically the opposite.
Oh, okay.
So, and it's good because I mean, they figured it out, so I didn't have to do any of the hard work, which is like awesome.
Yeah. You save yourself about 6 sets of tires in like an entire day. Well,
just
like fucking around. You're like, okay, I think I got it.
I've never like gotten like a ton of testing, and like when I go to practice at like an event, I'm focusing on like getting my qualifying line and like being ready for tandem after a qualifying, whatever. So I don't have time to like screw around with the car and spend waste the whole practice doing that, and then not actually being able to drive qualifying lap. I'm always just like, okay, gotta get a qualifying line. I gotta like make sure I score well, and then qualify, and then compete, right? So the focus is always there. I don't have like a day in advance to go practice for fun because I just don't have that kind of budget, right?
Yeah.
But
rent out a track for a day.
Yeah. So I mean, now
nice.
Every year I'm kind of getting a bit better. Whereas like the first year I drove FD Canada, the first event I drove was the first time I ever drove my car.
No
and
way.
like I just built it, and it was like ran into like tons of problems and didn't qualify.
That's a really expensive way to test things.
Yeah, so
because I know those entry fees are not small.
Yeah, so it's just. But I mean, you're stuck with what you got, right? And you just kind of give her, and like I learned a lot from it, and I mean, I still wouldn't write it off as like a waste because it was a great experience. But this year I finally did one event before a competition. I did like a top drift Shannonville day, and
they're all 2 days this year, huh?
Yeah.
I'm excited.
It's crazy.
I'm scared, but I'm excited.
Expensive. But
Yeah.
well, it's good for people driving from far, right? That's
Yeah, for me, because it's like it's a solid 4 hours.
yeah. So it's nice to like make the journey and at least get 2 days out of it,
Yeah.
which like I like too. Then like I'm only like probably an hour and 45 from Shannonville for my shop where the car is. So
yeah.
well, I'm from here. It's basically the same.
Yeah. So you do. So is everything done for the car out of the shop then? Like
Yeah. Basically, the first year when I built the car, my buddy Mitch, who runs Mitchy Speed Shop, he did the cage.
Oh, yeah.
So that was super awesome. Got that set up, and like I haven't had to change it because it's just solid. So and no major collisions, so I didn't tweak anything like that.
That's good.
So
those are always
that was like one of the big things that I didn't do, and then all of basically all of like the TIG fabrication. My buddy Mike from GT Exhaust in Oshawa does, and I try to do as much as I can. And he's like super rad for, we're buddies, we're like teammates, so we try to help each other out. But definitely like hooks it up hard. Like, we'll bring my car there and like, I'll like cut the pieces and stuff, and then he'll glue it together.
Yeah.
And like it's not that I'm still like kind of learning stuff like that because I've never really done more fab than I've needed on my own car, right?
Yeah.
Like, I've done motor swaps before and made motor mounts, but that's the
easy.
first time that I learned, And,
yeah. Takes.
But like we built like a custom intercooler setup, and it was like, okay, Mike, like what should I do? And then he's like, okay, cut this, and then I cut it, and he's like, all right, that's good, and then he'll glue it together. So it's cool to like, somebody that'll help me like learn stuff, and like eventually I would love to get like a TIG machine and then start on that end and become more self-sufficient. Like always trying to get more self-sufficient. I want to be able to do everything. Like same with the cage work. If I had to do another cage, I want to get a bender and try to do it myself. And I want to learn as I go and like pick up a skill. And whether I use that skill to make money, that's one thing. But just I like to do it myself. Like somebody says like, hey man, that's a sweet car. It's like, oh yeah, thanks. Like I did it. Like not like, oh, I brought it to like these and these shops. Like it's still all right, but like for me, that's like one of my personal goals. Is like I always want to progress in my driving and like my skill level of building the car. So like just learn. So now basically I do, other than because I haven't needed like cage work, other than like the fabrication with Mike helping me out, I basically did everything else.
It's nice to say you had your hands on everything in the vehicle.
Yeah, like it's cool to like at an event to know it that well too, right? So if something fails, whatever, you're like not like, oh, I didn't wire this motor, I don't know what to do, or I didn't do this. So you're very familiar, and like you might know a problem when it happens. Like, oh, it's probably this because like I remember I did this, and maybe that wasn't the best idea, or like whatever, So you learn too, and you improve the car, and like now, even though 2016 was probably my most unreliable as far as like mechanical failures at events, the car was still like the most reliable. Like I didn't have like engine problems.
It wasn't poor workmanship. It was
just
pure mechanical.
Yeah. It was just like, okay, stuff's breaking because we're making power and lots of grip.
Yeah.
But yeah, otherwise like the car like didn't like have like leaks. Didn't have, the first year was like I just put a car together and I was like, first time really using like and fittings and like all that sort of stuff, and
those are a pain in the ass.
Yeah,
they're worth it when they work, but when they fucking don't.
Yeah,
especially Dash 20.
Yeah,
especially Dash 20.
It takes like couldn't believe.
Is that what you did for your rad in the back?
Yeah, it's all vibrant Dash 20 fittings and hose, and then me and Mike put together. It's got like aluminum piping under the car.
Okay, so you did exactly what we did then too.
Yeah.
It's just nice because like if something happens, you just replace that pipe instead of replacing an entire hunk of Dash 20.
Yeah, and that hose is super heavy too, just because like the sheer size. So
and try and bend it into place.
It's not cheap, and the fittings aren't cheap, so it was like kind of
like what? Just for the I want to go out on a limb and say just for the weld-on threaded ends are like $54 a piece.
Oh, I couldn't tell you. I have no idea.
That number's ringing.
I feel like it's a little cheaper than that, but
maybe still, I'm thinking like just the end fit, like the actual.
Yeah, the swivels. And
that
stuff.
Could be it.
It's expensive, but I mean, like it's also stuff that like I had 0 leaks all season.
Yeah.
Because of it, So.
And if you do have a problem, if you do break something, you replace that aluminum line because that aluminum pipe's cheap.
Yeah.
Actually, I think I've got like 20 feet of it.
Yeah.
I'm not even using it.
Yeah, I bought a bunch extra too.
Did you? Okay.
Like, yeah. But no, yeah, I don't know. The car was definitely like a huge improvement over the season before, as like just being like put together better because of like what I learned, and also like not building a car from scratch. It was just like take the car apart and then do like a refresh, and you know, fix the flaws and then keep the stuff that worked. So definitely, I mean, it's hard to, you know, anybody builds a car from scratch. Like it's not. There's always like that little thing that either you know just had so much stuff to do that you missed something or forgot something, or you know, or you just thought something would work and it didn't. So it's kind of, but the car was a lot better this year, so I'm hoping that trend will continue, and then next year I just don't have failures. That would be amazing. Well, yeah, we'll see what happens.
Crossed.
I mean, it's definitely it was definitely the best it's ever been this year, despite failures, and it just sucked that like 2 failures happened at 2 events, like 2 competitions in a row.
Yeah.
But other than that, like the car was super good. The motor ran like a top, so zero complaints there. That whole setup is like super awesome for that power level. It's like
it's making
like just
like
super reliable. Like
what do you do for engine management in that?
Stock computer.
No.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
And it just like looks at it like then we can do this.
Yeah. It's well, it's not like super like always stock. It's Flash, but yeah,
it's not
just
like a standalone or anything.
No, just totally factory ECU, factory like wire harness.
I can't really talk. I mean, these BMWs.
Yeah. It's.
So I figured it's like a standalone. Like, haul tag.
I honestly like, you know, people maybe don't think I did, but I 100% weighed like the LS versus JZ versus the BMW motor, and I just looked at like what is gonna make like 500-600 wheel for like what are the costs, you know?
Yeah, dollar per horsepower.
Yeah, it was basically like, okay, for all 3 of the motors, I'm gonna have to do a rad setup, so that cost is literally identical on all of them, right?
The 2J.
Yeah,
as that engine is known for heating.
Well, but any drifting, right? It's just like heat-soaked city. So
because
like,
you're not going straight. That's the other problem too, right?
So it was super like, okay, I'm gonna have to do a clutch setup. I'm gonna have to do basically every cost is like similar, right? Like whether you buy a clutch for an LS or you buy a clutch for a JZ, doesn't really make a huge difference.
Yeah, the only thing I'd say with the LS, you could probably you wouldn't have to go turbo to get the power you're looking for.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's right at the cusp. Like the LS, like NA. I mean, depending, like if you're running like a very expensive like built NA motor, that's a different story. But like we don't all have like 50 grand for like a crazy like masked motorsports motor or something, right?
Be nice though.
But as far as like the sort of more budget friendly, it's like to make 500 horse, the costs were all pretty similar, and I was like, well, I'd rather than buying a JZ and rather than buying an LS. And like, you know, the training setup for an LS, that's the problem. Like, to get a good 5-speed or whatever behind it, that's expensive. So I looked at that, and I looked at JZ, and the R154s are not cheap. And then you could do like the adapter plates and run a BMW training. But I was like, so why don't I just stick with the BMW motor? Yeah. And then like I had parts cars, so like basically the motor cost me virtually no money. The trainings cost me virtually no money. And
no money.
So it was just like seriously, like I literally counted as $0. Like my motor cost me $0, my training cost me $0, and like last season I went into the season with 4 trainings, and it's just like, you know, it's nice to have those spares. Like whether maybe they're somewhat likely to fail. I don't think any more than like say a T56 or an R154, but compared to say like a NASCAR, like a dog box or something like that.
The dream.
Yeah, it would be nice, but tons of money, right? And like it's still a possibility to fail, and at that price point, you're not buying spares. So I looked at it. I was like, okay, I'll take something that cost me no money. I can bring a spare with me, and just hopefully it breaks when it's not important.
Yeah,
you know,
it's gonna go. Here's the time to do it.
Yeah. So I just looked at it. I was like, you know what? Instead of buying the motor and the tranny and you know whatever, we're buying like a JZ. From like an importer or whatever, I was like, I'll spend all that money on a turbo. Yeah. And like, you know, I have to do cooling system. I have to do intercooler setup. I have to do oil cooler setup. I have to do, you know, all these things I'm going to have to do no matter what the sort of setup is. So those costs are the same. And if I take out an engine cost of like $3,000, then, or for LS, say the training cost, because the motors are cheap. Yeah. Then I'm left with this extra budget to spend on a turbo setup, and like on a JZ to make the 5-600 wheel, you're gonna be doing the exact same turbo setup.
Yeah.
So then the cost is the same, but on a more expensive motor. So
yeah, super tax, right?
Yeah, so it's like, which is, they're wicked motors, but when it comes down to it, it's like you're doing the same things to all of them. So whatever base is going to be the cheapest, that's what I saw as like the best. And now if I wanted to make, say, 1,000 horsepower, what I'm doing would probably change. Like I wouldn't be running the same block I am, because like they won't hold up to that much power. I think safely, like street car, probably 100%. Like you can make 1,000 wheel with a billet motor, and like
because you're only pumping it once or twice.
Yeah, like it's just not drifting. Just seems to kill everything. So
wow, it's such a you're putting G-force on it, so you've got oil sloshing around. So if you're not running a dry sump, there's issue one, and then you've got the issue of you're not getting direct cooling because you're not getting constant 90-degree airflow through it.
Yeah, exactly.
And then as well as add your issues to it. Your clutch kicking, which is one extremely hard on the transmission, but people forget how hard it is on the engine too. You're taking something that goes from being under X amount of load to no load to back to that load even more again.
Yeah, exactly.
So drifting is probably the most brutal thing that you could put an engine.
Well, it's if you look at like the FD US Pro Series or whatever, you see guys like breaking quick changes and shit, and like that's that is like a totally motorsport rear end that guys use with like from what I've heard, like very little issue in like NASCAR and shit.
Mm-hmm.
And then you bring it to FD and it's like, oh, we're just gonna clutch kick and destroy it. Like and that's a $5,000 rear end.
Yeah, there are guys there are guys that have run NASCAR setups in FD and just nuked them.
Yeah, so it is definitely like the super destroyer of all things. But
could have picked a cheaper hobby.
But I'm sure. I guess there's people that are curious. But if I could pick anything, it'd be S54.
I was just gonna say that.
E46 M3 motor.
Yeah.
They seem to pretty reliably hold up to 1,000 wheel, which I think is like to be competitive at the pro level, even in FD Canada. That's like realistically, if you're not shooting for that, that's
just go.
Like. What I have,
like, there's a few guys that run 800, but
basically like they say like 500 is not competitive. That's what I have.
I think 7 up.
But
that's what
I think as far as this past season, last year I was definitely the slowest horsepower per weight. There was a guy with a Corolla running an SR on like steroids, Joe Drift, and I think he made like high threes, like 380 or something.
The car weighs nothing,
and my car made 4.
Yeah.
And, probably 1,000 pounds on that car.
Yeah.
So, he runs less tire, whatever. There's lots of arguments. But anyways, arguably I was the lowest horsepower per weight that season. And first season I had a lot to learn and less budget. So
it was probably good that you were less horsepower so you didn't just start frying everything. But
yeah. No, exactly.
You didn't go into that series and be like, I'm coming in first.
Yeah, exactly.
You go in like, I'm going to put my feelers out.
This year I thought I would be more competitive than I was, to be honest. Like the horsepower setup, I thought it would be enough. But as far as anyone who did like the full series, I was literally the lowest horsepower car. As far as I know, at least, unless somebody says it makes 7 and they actually make 4. But
I'm sure it's out there.
Yeah. So
if it has to do with cars, there are bullshitters everywhere.
Yeah.
There's videos on the
internet. But there's just a ton of people making a ton of power. Yeah. It's crazy. So, but I think I'm gonna get the car on the dyno for this season. Unless a miracle happens and I end up with an S54 and make like 1,000 wheel, that would be.
Shouts out if anybody's got it.
Yeah, I'd love it, but that's like my dream at the moment that'd be super sweet. But I'll get it on the dyno, tweak some stuff, hopefully reinforce the driveline a bit, and get a bunch of spare parts to like fatigue cycle stuff, and make like 6 or so. A little bit more than 6 would be nice, but around 6 I think would be pretty good, and then just hopefully my driving will show.
Yeah, I was wondering that, like, what is the next step for the car, like in general?
Yeah, that's basically,
build the reliability.
Yeah, I don't want to go broke building a crazy high horsepower setup and not be able to, fix it when it breaks, or having to cheap out and building like a not quality setup. Like, why go from a quality, say, lower horsepower setup that should be reliable versus high horsepower that's going to be less reliable. Like, if the car doesn't make it through events, then you're not going to win.
It doesn't
anyways.
matter how much horsepower
So,
you have, yeah.
And like this way, I can really focus on my driving, which is good, because I definitely need to learn more. Like, I need to get more experience and progress more, and like just get better. So, yeah, I'd like to turn up to 6. Hopefully, sort out the drive line a bit so that it's solid, and then a big focus for 2017 is definitely just like just appearance. I want to make the car look cooler.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want it to be cool.
You found any like flares or like? Well, you've got flares on it now, right?
Yeah,
So
I want to make, because they don't really make stuff, so I want to make as much as I can on my own. Maybe sell it too, but for now the focus is just like make as much as I can. Like, I'd like to do full kit, maybe like a full wide body too. But we'll see how much time I have. I mean,
yeah, fiberglass work sucks.
Oh, it's horrible. I hate it.
It's
the worst thing ever. It was supposed to have like a wide body for 2016 already, and it just so much work, and just with everything else and finishing the car and
running a shop at the same time.
it adds up.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work, right? So, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, I also kind of planning on branching out a little bit, not just driving FD Canada. Depending on schedules, they're still waiting on some schedules to release. Like, FD Canada hasn't released one, US Drift hasn't released one. Midwest Drift Union released theirs, I think last week or something.
Yeah.
This week. So,
Great lifestyle. Just saying.
Yeah.
Saying I'll go with you.
I'd like to, but it's just all, I think.
It's so.
I in a perfect world, I'd run all of FD Canada, I'd run all of CSCS, and I'd run a US Pro-Am series, whether it be US Drift or MDU.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that, I don't particularly know what the level is at like MDU and US Drift. I know they have like great drivers and some good cars, but I'm hoping I'd be more competitive there versus FD Canada.
Yeah. Because
FD Canada really is like a pro championship that is just like, a little below Formula Drift USA.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, the US Pro-Am series are a Pro-Am series.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that I'd be more competitive there. And then I want to drive CSCS and just like have a ton of fun. And I'm trying to coax a couple more people to come. Hopefully Riley will come drive it, and like.
He seemed to have a good time.
Yeah.
Dylan Sharp's building another S15. Maybe he'll come back into it.
Yeah. So
another really really competitive guy in so many ways.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, it'd be cool to get like those more, say, pro level cars out, and then a bunch of the Moneygang is planning on driving. So it'd be really cool if we can squad up and show up with like 3 or 4 great cars at an event, and just like even if I go and I just like tandem with my pals and like put on a show.
Just have fun.
Yeah, totally cool with that. At least it's like it's local, so you don't have that huge like cost of travel and everything.
No.
You can just tow the car.
Furnace one is in Quebec, which you're going to anyways. Actually, I don't think they have a Quebec this year.
No. It's
but they have Shanny in there.
Yeah.
They got Shannonville on
there. 3 Cayuga, 1 Shannonville, and 1 Mosport. So they're all like super close considering. So we'll see what happens. I mean, I've been like last off season and the year before, I had like a lot more of like an ambitious plan going into the next season, and this year I'm kind of working more on like personal stuff and like my shop and trying to like sort that stuff out. So I don't know, I've always been like strapped before and like just like super broke just making it happen, so I kind of want to sacrifice a little bit and like not going crazy with the car, and then focus more on building myself a good base and just like being more prepared, and hopefully that'll make me more competitive, because like I'll have more budget going to events rather than like having more car and less budget. Mm-hmm. So we'll see what happens. I mean, if I get some good partners, then there's definitely potential to do more. I mean, like, I'm definitely willing to do whatever. I'll fly across the world, but that's not. Unfortunately, on my dime, that's probably not possible. So maybe once, but so.
Shop's doing well though.
It's all right. Yeah, it's picking up. This is like I'm now. Before I've always like worked at dealerships and stuff, so I did it kind of on the side and just more for my own interest for drifting or whatever, to have a space to do it. But now I'm not working anywhere else full time. Like, the shop is what I'm doing full time. So
nice.
That's that's.
Is it Moneygang Garage?
No, it's Garage 9.
Garage 9.
Kind of another play off of all the 9s and
the
numbers and stuff. But I figured why not? Like,
Yeah,
why
no,
do
it
something
sounds
different,
good.
right? So yeah, I'm doing that and basically like mostly fixing Audi, Volkswagen, and BMW. You know, if somebody wants to build a car or something, like definitely interested in doing that. It's just, you know,
Yeah.
it costs money, so unfortunately, a lot of people, you know,
Yeah.
and I'm in the same boat. I don't pay other people to build my car either because I can't afford it. So
Yeah.
you know, and I'm definitely like the DIY guy. Like I like figuring stuff out for myself and learning a new skill, and you know, so and if that saves you money, then hell yeah, right?
Yeah,
But
exactly.
yeah, I mean, for now it's like mostly just been just, you know, your average cars or like welding diffs and stuff like that. And like I sell modded knuckles and dual caliper brackets and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, I forgot to
Do all that stuff. So
where can people find that?
Probably your best bet would just like contact me through Facebook or Instagram.
Yeah. We'll get all the links and stuff from you at the end here.
Yeah,
I'll post it on the link too.
Yeah, that's usually that. My Instagram is probably my most reachable or easy to remember. So,
Moneygang Steve.
Yeah, at Moneygang Steve. But yeah, just kind of keep busy and building that flow and like building the clientele and the customer base, so I can just hopefully stay steady through like the summer and stuff and support drifting.
Yeah, it's
go
amazing.
Broke again over the summer.
It's amazing how that works, huh?
Yeah, but yeah, it's fun. I mean, you gotta grow up, right? You gotta like focus on have like a contingency at least. Maybe it's not growing up. I shouldn't say that. That's,
no, you just gotta have a plan. So you're not living in a box.
Yeah, exactly. So no, like the last 2 seasons was like literally like last dollar every event and just totally brutal. So
okay, boys, we're eating hot dogs for all day Sunday.
Yeah, exactly. 100%.
Like
that might not change, but
no, that's fine. It builds character.
Yeah, but I just hope I can be a little bit more stable, like through the just going to events and, you know, not having to like, you know, scrape together money for each event. Like just be a little bit more stable. That's all. It would be nice, but and I mean, you know, it'd be awesome to get a couple more like hopefully bigger partners that I can chase some dreams I have and become more competitive. Like just having a more competitive car to begin with, right? Like
yeah.
I mean, in a perfect world, leave the car way it is. I'm just an amazing driver and I win.
Yeah.
But in the real world,
at the end of the day,
yeah,
it's
so
a little different.
We'll see. I mean, I think I have it in me. Like every year, I learn a lot more. I get like way better. Like I've been slowly trying to cut and upload all my in-car like GoPro footage and put it on like my YouTube channel, which is also Moneygang Steve.
Yeah.
And just like I don't know, I get stoked on watching people's in-car, so I was like, I'll post that up. But like, man, I'm like cutting the stuff from the first event. I'm like, man, what was I doing? Like my driving was terrible, and that's just like. I already thought I was a lot better going into the season, and then now from the beginning of the season to the end of the season, I already see like so much change in my driving.
Yeah, there's a lot of progression.
You know, so it's like just want to like keep pushing, and get better and better, and hopefully at some point I'll be the best.
Footwork, man, you should get some good shots to your footwork because when you're working on an underpowered car, it's a lot of footwork to keep up, right? So
yeah, I'm
sure a bunch of people get a good kick out of
seeing
how much clutch kicking you're doing, how much left foot braking.
Oh yeah. No, it's I've been sort of communally through the Moneygang. That's like another one of the things we want to do with like Christoph's vlogs. We're kind of like
which are awesome.
Yeah,
they're hilarious.
Super awesome. That's like totally his thing, but we're also trying to like kind of communally put together footage and do like edits as a team. And one of the things we want to do is like at, you know, events, like maybe collectively use all of our GoPros, like whereas I only have one and, you know, Mike has one and Jordan has one. Yeah. And I know Christoph and Devo plan on getting some.
I got some, when we're done, I'll show you something that's going to blow your mind because you can buy. Anyways, we'll get to it at the end.
So we'd like to communally, like, you know, plan like, okay, we're gonna rig this guy's car this event or like for these couple laps, and we're gonna do the, you know, the synced out of car with the point of view, with the footwork, with, you know, we really want to like do that to bring some like cool content and just like stuff we're stoked on.
Dude, that Christmas video was awesome.
Yeah, that was
amazing.
That was the first thing we've like done kind of as a team, and we kind of all, you know, planned it together, came up with an idea, tweaked the idea, you know, just for the best, hopefully. And
no, it was good. It was hilarious. It was
and then filmed together and just kind of like, you know, Christoph did the bulk of the editing. He did all the editing. We just kind of like, you know, we put in kind of what we thought we should change or whatever, and Christoph killed the edit and like killed the filming, and like we kind of directed it ourselves and like whatever, drove, and like it was super fun, and like the video got a ton of views, so I guess people like it. And it was like a lot of fun to make, and like that's the kind of stuff we want to do. We want to like do stuff that we're super stoked on and that hopefully other people will like too. If they don't, I guess whatever, but hopefully they do.
As long as you're having fun, like that's the hardest part of it. Is if like the biggest views that I found are either something like some crazy car or some crazy place.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like Turk did that one where he was in fucking Russia or Ukraine or something like that. There was nothing particularly awesome about the skills that were demonstrated, but it was where it was.
Yeah.
It was the set and setting that was like it's an old fucking abandoned village or this old factory and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
no.
Getting access to places like
that's kind of we have some like super, like I'm super excited for some of the ideas we have for this season.
Good.
For like some of the Top Drift events, whatever, and we're just like we're gonna hopefully every event we drive as like a team, which should be like a lot of events other than the competitions. We're gonna try to film something, like have a video idea and put it together at that event. So the top thing being all 2 days, that's gonna help that too.
Yeah, it gives you a lot more time.
Yeah, so
because it's really difficult for like from somebody coming from that kind of background. It's super difficult to jam in a lot of footage in one day because there's a fair bit of downtime. Like your track time of a total day might be 2 hours.
Oh yeah.
Of actual on like, and that's you're really pushing.
The car doesn't break.
That's everything goes well, and like you're out there first thing at 8, and then you're doing your last laps at 5. Like you might get a full 2 hours worth of track time.
Yeah, no, it's it gets super hectic. So hopefully we can plan well enough that it's gonna. I mean, as long as we get like a bit of footage from each one, and then like maybe we can even do like a year-end edit, but I'm hoping we'll be able to like release a video like basically every event we go to.
Yep.
We want to try to put something together, and I'm gonna not slack as much as putting all my footage up because I literally had GoPro footage like from in-car for 2 years and like didn't post it anywhere.
Yeah, you got
we used it here and there, but I'm trying to like edit all my raw footage into like an event, whatever, and post it, and then hopefully this season I can kind of keep on top of that. And
need to get a media boy.
Yeah.
Need to get like one guy to like.
Well, but it's hard, right? If you depend on other people, then it's always like.
You guys depend on other people.
Yeah,
trust me, I know.
Yeah. So I try to be very self-sufficient. Like
there is a point too where you're biting off more.
Yeah.
And like don't take any offense, but your background's not the media side. Like you're a driver and a mechanic.
Yeah.
So I know what you mean though. Like it's nice to be able to do all of it.
Yeah, I'll try. We'll see what happens.
No, everything I've seen that comes out, it's awesome. It's either hilarious or like definitely a lot of skill put into it. And because it's a BMW too, there's things that like just because it is a BMW that just changes the kind of feel.
Yeah.
Like if it was a Nissan, it just would feel different.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like there's, say for argument's sake, 1 million people doing Nissan and 1,000 people doing BMW.
Yeah.
Right. That's the way I look at it, at least. I mean, the BMW part is growing, and if you look to Europe, then it's totally flipped.
Oh yeah, but, it's like Volvos and BMWs.
Yeah, tons of BMW. Like E36s everywhere, like Driftland and shit. Like,
I know.
It's crazy.
I was seeing the Volvo diesels. I'm a little biased to like diesel drift cars, but I love seeing those.
Yeah.
The guys who do the Volvo wagons with the diesel engines in them. Okay, so no, it's all right.
I don't want to.
All right, so like one of the big things that happened this year when we were at Top Drift is you had just some no-name company. I don't think anybody's ever really heard of them. I think it was Vice Canada or something.
Yeah,
I don't really know who the fuck they are, but they were with you. The whole was it you or the whole Moneygang team?
Yeah, the whole Moneygang. Yeah, they basically we had talked to them in the winter at the beginning of 2016, and.
He's like pitch it. He's like
we just kind of said like, hey, like we have a cool story for you or whatever. Like if you wanna whatever, and then it came down to them wanting to sort of like do a piece on like car culture and like the scene or whatever, and like a very accurate representation of how things actually are.
There's a lot of shit that came. There's that one street racing thing that came out like recently, and like the car community went, it was like an outrage. Like no, you've no fucking yes. Woodbridge has street racing. Yes, there is a supercar street racing thing, and drifting already has a bit of a stigma behind it. So no, that's good. That's good.
Yeah, we basically they wanted to do an accurate story, and like sort of, I guess, set the story straight a bit on that piece they did. Just because there was a bit of misinformation and stuff, and it just, it reflected badly, and people are upset. So totally understandable, and like the last thing I would want to do is help that. So
yeah,
we were really like focused on like, let's try to make this accurate. Like, why don't you guys come to like a drift day? And because originally we were gonna film like totally just like a private day and just film drifting and stuff, and more so like about our team and stuff. And then came down to the idea where it was like closer to the end of the season, we're like, you know what, let's do it at Top Drift. Like, that's where we all go to drive, and like,
which would have been a culture shock for them.
Yeah,
I saw them when they rolled in, just like their eyes got huge.
Yeah, they're like,
fuck
this happens.
Who are these people?
Yeah, it was super cool. So hopefully that should be. They're expecting to release it, I think, springtime, like March, if I remember correctly. So hopefully, yeah, we're like super looking forward to that. Like, I'm curious how it went too. I mean, you don't know until you see it.
So
right?
like, what did they like film you from? Like, you got up in the morning and like you're eating your oatmeal. And...
Yeah, we all went for breakfast at Deb's because that's just like what always happens when we go to Shannonville. So we went to breakfast at Deb's. Like, we did like an interview there, and we kind of like talked about a bunch of stuff. We had a super cool host. He's like has a YouTube channel. His name's Femi.
He does music stuff, doesn't he? Or is it skits or something?
Yeah, it's skits.
Yeah, I looked him up. Yeah.
He had like I forgot what video it was, but it was like a super popular, like went super viral on YouTube. But anyways, super cool, like rad dude. Great host. Like, guy was awesome. Like, wicked at keeping the ball rolling. Like, couldn't believe how good he was at it.
It's crazy.
And we just like talked about stuff, he asked us questions like as just like an average person that's like not super into cars, like whatever, just like, hey man, like I have a question about this, or what does this cost, or what does this do, or whatever. And like we took a bunch of them out in the car. I took Femi out in the car and like just blew his mind. Like we like threw down some cool tandems, like rigged up the cars with GoPros and like drones and like all this stuff. So
a nice drone out.
There should be I'm like super excited for the footage. I know like all of us are. Like, it'll be crazy. So, and hopefully, like, it'll be a good sort of representation of what the scene is, and what drifting is in Ontario, and how we are, and hopefully we won't come across badly, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm definitely interested because like I saw a bit of their filming. I chatted. Like I just enjoy talking. So if I see somebody new I don't know, I can talk to them. I was just chatting with them about it, and like they were pretty vague on details because I think they just have to be. Yeah. You don't know. Once again, kind of someone who does media work, you don't always know what you have until you go back and look at it.
Oh, 100%.
Like there were plenty of times that we've gone to film something and like we look at the footage afterwards and we're like, we didn't do anywhere near what we wanted to do, but what we did get is completely different, and it's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
I'm super excited to see what they come up with, and they had a lot of extremely good equipment. I had a bit of a nerd hard on for some of their camera gear.
Yeah.
So
no, they came like fully decked out, which was
there's like 8 people,
super
and then
cool.
and then there's like 3 people that all they were doing was like filling out fucking release forms.
That's
all they were. That's their entire job.
Shit, I'm so bad at remembering.
There's one guy there with quite possibly the tightest pants I've ever seen as well. I'm just gonna throw that out there.
That's very possible.
I talked to him. He's a really nice guy, but shouts out to that dude for like having music code hanging to his zipper up. I could tell what religion he was. But
no, it was a lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to that. That's probably like one of the biggest things I'm looking forward to seeing in 2017, and then just
maybe they can make a show out of it.
Yeah,
just syndicate it.
We'll see. I mean, should be cool.
That'd be wicked. So that'll be on Vice Canada, most likely?
To be honest, I'm not 100% sure where it's going to be.
Hopefully they give you like a pre-viewing or something like that.
Yeah, that would be cool. I mean, I'm just want to see the footage like so badly. I'm just for like all the cool equipment, and then just to see how it turned out and whatever. We tried like our absolute best to, I was like, tell me where you need me to drive. Like, tell me what you need me to do. Like, I'll do it. I want to make it turn out good. I want you guys to get good footage. And like, I want my car to look cool. I want myself to look cool. So.
Did you do something with Xbox this year too?
Yeah.
I forgot. I just remembered that.
In I guess the fall.
Yeah,
it was fall already. We worked with Xbox Canada. We filmed like a promotional video for Forza Horizon 3.
That was it.
With like a bunch of local dudes. Me and Mike from the Moneygang, and then
Keenan was there too.
Yeah, Keenan.
That guy's gonna go somewhere.
Yeah.
For being such a young kid with like mad fab skills.
Yeah. Who else was there? Matthew, Nick, Brett, ton of guys, and it was like so much fun because we just like Xbox rented the track and we basically just got to like throw down and like with direction, like okay, we want you to drive here or whatever, but like it was super cool and it was like a lot of fun to do it with like local dudes and then like have a video that got like 100,000 views.
Because wasn't it like
from Xbox people, like probably people
gamers
that normally wouldn't see?
You might get like your own livery in the Forza games.
Yeah, maybe.
I would have put in for that. I would have been like, look, I'm not doing this unless there's a Moneygang BMW in that game.
Yeah. Well, I made my current livery. Well, I had not my first year of FD Canada with E46. I made my own livery in Forza, and there was another guy that made it as well.
Oh, really?
Which is pretty cool, yeah. So I like whenever I play, I still play with it. Like I'll just play with my own livery, like because I rock an E46 now, of course. Cause,
yeah.
Like, but yeah, it was a ton of fun. So it'd be cool. I'd love to like do something with them again, or like a company like that. It'd be cool. It was like a change of pace, to like film with like, oh, this is not like actually drifting related, but we're just gonna like film a video that's like cool. Which is a lot of fun. It's like kind of a different style of driving, because like it's not like just like, oh, go drive all day or like, oh, go compete. It's like, oh, we're gonna set up cameras and like go run this wall right now.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you haven't driven a lap yet, but just like go run the wall. It's like.
Thanks, guys. Yes.
Yeah.
Can I warm up?
But hey, it worked out.
Hey, we got so much time here, kids.
We didn't write off our cars, so that was good.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a ton of fun. So hopefully more of that in 2017. That'd be like perfect world, But see what happens.
Yeah, that was awesome. That was just out of the blue too.
Yeah, it was
like
super random.
Fuck, who was it Blake that like kind of was? Yeah, he's like, I had to pick like 5 guys and I had like 10 hours to get a hold of them and shit.
Yeah. He actually like called me and I was like, no, because like Blake's a massive troll.
I know he is. He's
he called me and I was like, yeah, Blake, you're full of shit. And like I just put him on speakerphone and I was like, I happened to be hanging out with I think Christoph and Devo or like Christoph and Mike or something.
Yeah.
And yeah, he was just like, I was like, Blake, you're full of shit, and I just hung up on him. I was like, whatever. I'm like, see you later, Blake. You're an idiot.
Fuck you.
And then, yeah, as it turned out, it like actually was happening. Like I totally wrote it off. I was like, he is so full of shit. There's no way. He does
so much shit like that.
But that's the thing. Like he has genuinely prank called me before and like had me going. So I just don't fall for it anymore.
Oh man.
And then closer to, I like. At the last CSCS, I talked to Keenan and he's like, yeah, we're doing the Forza thing like in like a couple of weeks. And I was like, oh, that's actually like a real thing. So then I talked to Blake again and then like...
I'm really sorry, man.
Yeah, luckily like we were able to join in, which was super cool because it was a good opportunity. And like I, anytime to drive is like...
Yeah.
Just love
especially if you're not paying for it.
Yeah, so it was a good time.
Thanks, Xbox.
Yeah. Yeah, it was wicked.
That's awesome, man. Well, I know you gotta head out to the garage. I've got to head downtown. But so where can everybody find your info? Like if they're looking for Moneygang stuff, Steve stuff.
Okay, so to start, I guess the most obvious would be at Moneygang Steve is my Instagram. If you go facebook.com/Moneygang Steve, that's my Facebook page. YouTube, just search Moneygang Steve, you'll find my channel. We also just recently started a Big Cartel like sort of merchandise outlet for Moneygang stuff. Just for, if you don't want to buy anything, don't buy anything, but if you want stuff,
fucking buy it.
Get in contact, but that's moneygangdrift@bigcartel.com or moneygangdrift.bigcartel.com. You can find that on my Facebook and on my Instagram. It's linked. My shop's Garage 9, so if you need work on an Audi or Volkswagen or a BMW, hit me up. Help you out.
Do you do wiring for Volkswagens?
Yeah.
You're a brave man.
everything. Yeah, I mean, come check me out at events. More importantly, I guess that's like
for sure. You usually post up where you're going ahead of time too.
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna try to be a lot more on top of that this year because I may as well.
Dude, like Monday morning. Sit on the can, take your juice, schedule all your Facebook posts for the week. That's what I do.
Yeah.
Like if you're looking at any of the Pistonhead production Facebook posts and it's like a Thursday, I made that taking a shit on a Monday.
Yeah.
Like that is just how it works.
There you go. I'm gonna try to be a little bit more like on top of where I'm going, and like I definitely want to do fun events like Grid Life. I honestly want to do it this year. It's just we'll see what's in the cards, right? It's
Okay, yeah, I know people.
Yeah. We'll try. I mean, I'd love
Chris,
to.
Nick, if you're listening, I need a favor.
Yeah, I'd love to drive. I mean, even like the Moneygang as a whole, we all like want to drive more stuff and like just kind of get more of a presence, or we just like want to go to more events, and like show people who we are and like throw down with our team and like be the gray BMWs that we are.
Dude,
that's
Grid Life is the best place because it's not even just car people, it's concert people and show people. Until like if you've never been, I can say I've been every year, and it is mind boggling. And it gets more ridiculous.
I know Devo went this year as a spectator to one of them, I think. And then the year before maybe went as a spectator, or maybe it was just this year. But anyways, he said it was like like super good.
Did he have the giant like bag of wine?
Yes. Oh yeah, totally.
I gotta have a talk with him because there's an alien there. Anyways, like no, I was slapping the scrotum of wine.
Oh yeah.
There's like he's in a couple of our videos actually. That giant scrotum of wine. I just put 2 and 2 together who that was.
That was you. I'm pretty sure he got like Turk on the bag of wine too.
Yeah, he
hilarious.
Did. Yeah, he did. You gotta.
But yeah, it would be a super good time. I'd like love to do an event like that. It's just all budget, time constraints. Like we'll see. I mean, my goal for the end of 2017, for the end of the season, would be like get a Pro 2 license. That would be amazing. That's like my goal. So part of that goal is to drive like hopefully a US Pro-Am series and then also drive FD Canada and kind of have 2 chances at getting it. Whereas I think, I don't know, I shouldn't,
it's a good goal.
Say too much, but like I think I have better luck in US Pro-Am. I think the level
is just more coverage. That's it.
Well, that too, right?
It's the end of the day, so there's just
getting the exposure would be amazing, and I haven't driven any U.S. events, and that's a goal of mine to do as well. So
Nick Swan's the guy you want to talk to.
Yes. I'll talk to him a little bit. Nick is MDU, right?
Yes, yep. Nick is a absolute gem of a human being, and he's 100% about just pushing the sport forward. That's his goal.
That's the cool part. Even like US Drift, Brian Eggert runs it. Yep. He's one of the judges for FD.
Yep.
And I
one of the good ones.
Yeah. They're all good. But I talked to him before I drove FD Canada, because when I went to do, I was like, my initial goal with E46 was to drive US Pro-Am and to drive US Drift. Yeah. And then Formula Drift was like, we're running a series, and I was like in Canada, and I was like, okay, like I want to do that because like it's in Canada, why wouldn't I, right? So I actually talked to Brian Eggert a bunch before then. Super rad dude, super helpful. I've like talked to him at events he's judged like us at, and just like what can I do to change my driving, or like what should I change, or what is your criticisms, and like super nice dude, and like all the judges are good for that. Like you can ask them questions, and they'll give you feedback, which is wicked.
They'll let you know what they want to see.
Yeah, it'd be cool to run a US series, whether it's MDU or US Drift, maybe both. I mean, I'd love to do US Drift, MDU, FTC, CSCS. That would be like perfect world, and drive Grid Life and whatever. But like,
pretty much have to sell your soul.
Yeah. I don't think the car will put up with that. So we'll see. But
I don't think your tow vehicle.
Yeah. So. We'll see. There's lots to do for the new season, and I got to get my ass in gear. So
we'll see. Maybe I'll try and get the Pistonhead guys out. We'll do some cross promotion stuff or something.
Yeah, man.
We'll get something going. This is always good. I love doing this, and I definitely want to do this again. Like this was a good time. We'll have to get Christoph on.
Yeah, we'll have to do a whole Moneygang one. That'll be a good time.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
We need more mics.
Yeah.
I know we can organize everybody. No alcohol ahead of time. Yeah. See, no alcohol ahead of time. They kick a cup across the floor.
Yeah, man. It'll be fun.
All right, man. Well, no, I really appreciate it, and we'll definitely get you back on.